What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, once a month, I host the only online broadcast in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, and it's also co-sponsored by Dad Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. And finally, another hat that I got on my head when you don't see it, somewhere there, is I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia nonprofit that's goal is to highlight Blacks in the diaspora that are involved with food, wine, and travel. We're broadcasting live on March 27th, a little past 9 p.m. Eastern Time, the end of a Saturday, but the beginning of another epic conversation called Staggers State of Things, where we have Aisha K. Staggers and Jill Jones dropping knowledge bombs. And folks, they're here, but maybe one day we should do the outtakes in the pre-show conversation. You guys, if you think there's something else live, oh my goodness. All I'm going to say about today is someone had a long time in bed. I'm just going.
I know.
You can take that whatever way you want, folks.
And someone's about to go to bed.
Oh yeah, there you go. So Jill just probably just gave it away. If you want to do any heavy thinking there on that.
Well, because I'm sitting in bed, and then it'll look like I've been in bed all day, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like,
no. I'm just getting up.
I'm telling on Aisha.
Hey, I went so far. You took it over the bridge.
Yes,
now.
I did.
Yeah, all right.
I had to.
How are ladies doing?
Good.
Good.
Yes.
All right. How's the week?
Ready to go.
Oh my! She's ready. Oh, that's danger. Jill's rubbing
fired
her
up and ready to go.
No, she's like the hands are rubbing. I'm going.
I know, because I've tried to not talk about any of this like through the week, just as I see things rolling in, and then it's all built up. So it's time to
exhale.
I'm waiting to exhale for
there
sure.
There you go. So then let me ask you, Jill, when you get a chance to exhale this kind of stuff, who gets the exhaling? Your husband?
Yeah, a lot of times, but he's watching tennis matches at the moment. Right. So fortunately he has that. And then I went out and hit a few balls the other day. So poorly, but I did hit them. But
all right, it's all good. Well, let's get after it. So this story here, Georgia Republicans enact broad new voting restrictions, including a ban. Now, this part really gives me a ban on giving water to voters in line. Like, what are we? Are we in Rome? And food. What? Like, and it's funny. Before you ladies get into it, I remember during one of our past conversations, Jill saying specifically, this would be a big issue next election. Yeah. And now it's front line.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why specifically. They're really going after, they tried to get it done before this session ends because Raphael Warnock is going to be up in 22. His Senate election was a special election to finish out a term. And so he comes up again in 2022. And they want to try and stop him from getting in again because he's going to have a Republican contender when that seat comes up. So this is very specific to his seat. This is really not about the presidential. It is about that Senate seat. And also because Brian Kemp comes up again next year for his election as governor. And one of the things that he is afraid of is Stacey Abrams running against him again, which I don't think Stacey Abrams, I told this to a friend of mine last weekend, I don't think Stacey Abrams is going to run again for governor because right now she is a kingmaker. She can basically help decide who gets in where and how to make that person a candidate that wins. But this particular these new restrictions are specifically designed to target Black and Brown and Asian voters in Georgia who helped bring Warnock and Ossoff to the Senate. That's it's specifically targeted there, but more specifically at the Black population, because notice that they hit the very things that Black voters are known to rely on in terms of getting to the polls. So they ended Sunday voting, which they know the Black churches were very, very good at with their Sunday souls to the polls. This ending voting at 5 o'clock or what have you, this 5 o'clock restriction, well, people work.
Right.
So that's going to take off a lot of people who work shift jobs and things like that, who don't get off work until 5 o'clock and can't get to the polls until after 5 p.m. And so the fact that you have the state legislature going after this, Georgia serving as an example, as a test state, mind you, because there are 42 other states that have these in their pocket ready to go before the end of their sessions.
I'm still trying to comprehend what kind of country or what kind of state that people cannot get a bottle of water.
A redneck state.
A red state. The state, and keep in mind, we were talking about the Coca-Cola Corporation beforehand in our pre-talk before we got online, but the fact that the Coca-Cola Corporation manufacturer is in Atlanta, is in Georgia, they produce Dasani, they produce water. And so, they donated a lot of water to
Jill,
these people.
Jill, can I say, like, this is backwards. This is just
very backwards.
It's backwards. Like, I'm waiting for someone to wait in line and die and hear what that excuse is going to be.
And they still wouldn't care, and they still wouldn't be charged, and it's still going down the road where people have not figured out that it's not just boycotting Coca-Cola or those measures, those indirect measures. This I'm talking of, don't pay your property taxes. There's other ways to boycott that can hit them harder. There's, you just have to be clever about now how to get to them, because the racism is alive, and in a way, I think the prejudice is an even stronger word. It's what they're willing to live with. They're proud of it. They want people to know that they are, and they're not ashamed of it. So we have a very big problem here. And for me, the part about my personality that is the most frightening is when I'm calm in the middle of something that's really raging. And I'm sensing that a lot with a lot of people in Georgia, my friends. There's a very strange calm, a very odd quiet. And even though I'm working with my grassroots groups, and, Oprah for sure will come through again with getting people to the polls, and a lot of other huge, money people. But we have a very big problem because it's incredibly important. This is only the beginning, because you can almost bet that by the time they're voting again, they'll either be rounding up people, arresting them, doing different things to keep them from voting. So we have a big problem. And like I said, the calm that's starting to come is a little bit unnerving for me. I mean, I see people saying, you're not going to stop me from giving a bottle of water. Well, they arrested that other senator the other day, flat out for nothing, knocking on the door when Kemp was signing this atrocious bill. They will be arresting people if they see these transactions happening. And I just have a very chilling premonition that I hope doesn't come to pass. But Georgia will be sorry. Either it'll be because Kemp is going to lose, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. But the rage is still going to continue, because they are only skimming the surface with how to root out these people, the racists in Georgia and in America are like planner's warts. They're really freaking hard to get to the root of it. There's always a little web, and if you ever look at the planner's wart, you know, that goes around and around, and it's even harder than getting rid of a corn. So these people are warts on our society, and even when you kill them off for a bit, they come back because the virus is in the spleen of this country. You know, they are a virus, and we really have to stop believing that even when you hear the bravado of white people like, oh, I'll be giving out water bottles. Well, you might be blowing somebody's chance to vote. The strategy for what you're going to do, please don't put it online. Please keep your mouths shut about what your plans are. I do not know how many times to tell people, stop advertising what you are going to do in result of, when you're in a war. Don't do it. Yeah. Please find another way to communicate with each other. But the best thing to do is to be boop and let them wonder. Let them sit back and wonder.
Just before you jump in, Aisha, I just want to update with comments. Leroy McKenzie Jr., JNF Enterprises, it's racism at its best. Nicole, one of these days you got to come on here, Nicole. The eye of the storm, the calm before the second wave. Mm-hmm. And Bertie Lynn is showing her love and saying facts. And Nicole is saying exactly to what Jill just shared. Aisha, back to you.
I think people, particularly the white people in Georgia, are forgetting how resilient Georgia Black people are, because this is not the first time they've tried to restrict the voting rights of Black people in that state. You got to remember, it is a southern state. They've tried fear tactics. They've tried poll tests. They've tried all of these things before that the Black population is ready for. There is a counterattack of how to handle this, and that Georgian voters, Black Georgia voters, and minority Georgia voters are ready. They're ready for what's coming at them because they knew that this bill was coming down. It's not that this is new to the wider public,
right?
The Georgian voters, they knew that this was on the table. They knew that this would likely pass if Trump lost. And so they have been preparing and they've been planning and preparing about how they were going to get around this bill because they already knew it was in it. They've been preparing how to get around it. Like Jill said, they just haven't been sharing it on social media. So people are prepared to come with their water, their snacks, and their stuff with them. They're going to be prepared to do that. They're going to get around these different ways of these new ways of voting.
I mean, it's Kemp's way of his metaphorical plantation owner behavior, because he's still acting like he owns the Black people in Georgia. There's a lot of affluence there, a lot of money in Georgia, and it doesn't only belong to the white people. And if there's businesses that white people's businesses that do rely on Black people's money, and that should all be taken away. I don't care. If you're going to make my ass stand somewhere in line with no water, I will order my stuff online and I'll just wait an extra couple of days for my stuff. But it's really, really important that, what our maneuvers are going to be, because we also have to take into effect, we have a few cases coming up in Georgia that Georgia's not going to pass on popularity, and that they're so dynamic and, oh, what a great state. You've got the Ahmaud Arbery, wasn't he killed in Georgia?
Yes.
Then you have what just recently happened with the Asians. The Asians are turning. They will turn on these people. You have, because there's been a few alliances that have been merging between the anti-Asian summit groups, and then also the African Americans and people of color groups. So they've created a solidarity that they better be prepared Georgians, they better be prepared. And the Georgians that I know that have the money, at any hint of, trouble, they're out of there and off to their houses somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But let me tell you something. They are not the majority in that state. So they have to wrangle and wriggle these laws. But Kemp's not going to win. And a lot of them are going to be gone. Because what happened is that this time around, people are not advertising their strategies for them to come up with another thing. She's right. Everybody knew what was coming down the pipeline. But this time going in, they don't know. The white people in Georgia don't know what's coming down for them, because ain't nobody going to be chit-chatting and holding public forums. It's just not smart. There are other things that it's not smart, and they will screw up every trial that I meant with Ahmaud Arbery, and they will become more of an enemy to their own citizens there. Okay. So it's going to be ugly.
And one other thing,
or just like catch up comments. You ladies, on Saturday nights now, people are flying in with comments. So if I don't get to them at a certain point, we're going to be half an hour catching up, which is a good thing. But just catching up. Bertie Lynn saying the Republicans think it's a game. She also says that we need to start pulling money left and right. She also says no more emotional pleas. Move the money. And Nicole says the art of war.
Unto warrior.
And Georgia's going to learn a lesson, I think, that South Carolina learned, but they were too stupid to actually act upon it. Remember the dispute over the Confederate flag with South Carolina? South Carolina was forced to remove it because of the Charleston massacre and the death of a state senator. Okay, but before that, they'd lost opportunity after opportunity because the NCAA would no longer hold their games there.
Right.
They lost opportunity after opportunity. Now they're only starting to get some things back, that the flag has been gone for the last 6 years. But you think about Georgia and the things that people do in Georgia. Well, Tyler Perry does all of his movies there. He has his studios there. Okay,
exactly.
They just shot Coming to America 2 in Georgia.
Yeah, at his studio.
People film all kinds of things in Georgia because it's cheaper to film in Georgia. Not only that, but the NBA All-Star game is held in Atlanta. So and that's Black people that patronize that. You're talking about people pulling back a lot of things behind this.
That's a good point.
You have a lot of media companies and things that do have headquarters there, but you also have to take into account a lot of just even how media disbursement is getting out there these days. It's changing a lot. I mean, everybody knows that Amazon just got the NFL starting for $1 billion. That starts 2023 or 2024 for 10 years. So networks aren't doing as well anymore. Things are changing. Everything is becoming very a la carte. And Georgia, how they want to try to do this whole thing, it's not there. People will have rides. We will find ways for people to get to the polls, and they will get there before 5, and they will be there until they get to vote. This is not Kemp or whatever he can do, whatever. All I know is they're huffing and puffing and stressing themselves out to do this, to be crooked and corrupt. And people usually don't fare too well with that. There's always something that comes in karmically and will just change it. I mean, you've got a situation where if you think you can anticipate what the Asian community is going to do completely, you better think twice, because we had a woman here in San Francisco who got punched in the face, got $1 million from a GoFundMe, and gave it away to the anti-Asian community hate group. And because she has integrity. And so now you got a bunch of people coming in who are saying, No, we can't be bought. We want what we want. And at the end of the day, so when you start getting people who say, you can't buy me, you can't buy my silence, that's when the game changes. And Lindsay and all these other dust bucket Reggies, whatever they are.
She's going at it now. She's been holding back.
Are done. And like
right.
I said, we are not communicating for the world, for them to look and go, oh, wow, they're going to do this. No, y'all just sit back and wait and see.
All right.
And Lindsay's got his own problems right now in Georgia, too. So don't forget that.
Quit. Yeah.
Nicole is saying
she's got issues.
No, this is a time, Nicole is saying, this is a time we as a people have to be strategic and unite in a way like never before. They want to divide us. Now we must divide them.
Completely.
Leroy says, when you hit them in their pockets, they will begin to pay attention. Black Beauty is saying as well, the president of America is working to stop Kemp's actions. Also, Leroy is saying the third industrial revolution is fought economically.
Yeah.
Very true.
It's very true.
And this is why and we're going to talk about it later, I believe. This is why the filibuster, getting rid of it, or making them actually have to do the filibuster like it was intended and tire themselves out, is so important, because these states need that particular part of the Federal Voting Rights Act restored. This is why that particular amendment to the Federal Voting Rights Act was there. So states like Georgia, because states like Georgia use these tactics to disenfranchise voters of color. This is exactly why that was there to begin with.
I mean, they rely on the ignorance of the American people, and there are many who are really poor, sadly, just ignorant. Some people think this is a new thing. They're trying to make a federal voting thing. Listen, B, it was like that. You people dismantled it. I mean, you really have these, little toads who just suddenly, all of a sudden, reared their heads, learning, thinking they took Civics 101 when Trump came into office. And it really shows how much they were dumb. They didn't understand. They never understood. And they were never paying attention to politics or the government or what was happening, or weren't voting. I mean, how many of them have we found out weren't even voting and running their mouths? Well, that's okay, because if you do hit people economically, and this is how it is, they're not just making money. A friend of mine was talking to me today, and in the insurance business and whatever, and she was saying how much money her clients have made during a pandemic, and it was sickening. It's just unreal. And I was like, wow, and that's why they don't care. People need to be a little bit more upset that why were all the COVID shots stuck in these rural areas, and people in the metropolitan cities, Black people, Asian people, people of color, couldn't get them. They're trying to kill you. I mean, what? You got a target on your back. We should all just wear jackets with a target on them, because that's exactly what they're doing. And your kids too. Just put a big bullseye right on the top of your kid's head, because that's what they're doing. And guess what? Stop telling your business online. That's all I got to say. If you need to communicate with people, join some of these groups, vet carefully who comes in, vet them, because there's a lot of little dusty ass traders too. But watch your money and watch where you're putting your money, and, get involved with Bitcoin.
Nicole is saying here, the ignorance blows my mind.
It's unreal.
And Bertie Lynn, who's one of the presidents, hashtag Team Jill. Telling you, Jill Jones fan club's going to resurrect again. I have that feeling.
This is the part that I'm going to sit and laugh about in the end, because it's like shooting yourself in the foot. They not forget that their voters aren't exempt from these laws.
No.
Their own voters.
Yeah.
They forget that they're in the South. They're not in the Northeast. They're not in the quote unquote liberal California or the coastal states where people are the quote unquote elites to them. Their people still drive pickup trucks and have to work these minimum wage jobs, these hourly jobs where they work,
and they roll
inconsistent
up in
hours,
their wheelchairs
and
with
they
their
have to
amputated legs too from
exactly,
their diabetes.
and
It's the
they've got
same
to
thing.
they've
And they're
got to
going to need
show up
water.
after
How many diabetics?
5. They've got to show
How,
up after
no,
5.
how many diabetics are going to be sitting in line, white, black, and all of them? I mean,
Yep.
really? Do they not know where they live? Because also they're going to try to steal the election again, as they always do. But, it isn't, it's just, like I said, Mr. Plantation Massa Kemp needs to quit because he's going to have to, and stop this metaphorical, like, these are my Negroes. That's basically it. And it's time for everybody to James Baldwin their asses.
The number of Black voters coming up in this next election in 2022 is going to blow 2020 out the water, because when you tell Black people that they cannot do something and that you make a law to say that Black people cannot do something, oh, we're going to find a way in this country to do it. Mm-hmm. And so they don't want to see all those people that stood there while he signed that piece of paper in front of a portrait of a plantation are going to be gone. They're going to get, Kemp will be gone. The Republican guy, the Secretary of State that Trump is trying to run somebody against him in a primary. Come on. He won't lose his primary, but they'll get rid of him too. They'll get rid of a lot of people. The voters are going to clean house. Why? Because they won't want this to happen again, and they will want this to be repealed. And it can only be repealed by cleaning out their state house.
Yep.
How much is 45 behind this?
All of it.
Oh, he's all of it. Why? All of it. And you can tell because of the questions that the media is asking Joe Biden in his first press conference. Mm-hmm. I don't give a flying fig Newton if Trump is running again in 2024. I don't care what Trump thinks about Joe Biden's 60% approval. Why are reporters asking him these questions? Why are
Donald Trump is dead to me.
In his press conference, they asked about COVID, but they asked about Trump. We had this conversation last week. Why are you still talking about?
Because they like those ratings. It's like they're talking about a ghost. They like the ratings.
They like those ratings, and they're going to drive the next election.
But here's the thing: even if I've logged off of watching it as consistently as I did, I know there are many, many more like me who feel a sense of calm with Biden in, and where I'm receiving my information about what's happening on the status of the day. I don't need to be wired in like I was before. I can look and I can accept these answers as reasonable and wait for the next day to see any more developments. But I don't have to stay glued like I did with Trump. But these people act like they've gone mentally insane too in the media. It's like they're on some, like they're all a bunch of crackheads. It's like they've got to get that next fix. They're on a crack mission. All of them, MSN, CNN, all of them act like, they're on like meth, crystal meth. They're like jonesing for the next.
Well, it has to be United States meth. It can't be Mexican meth, like that congressman said.
Oh gosh! So Nicole is saying that the press conference was annoying, and we didn't even have that on schedule to chat about this week. But did any of you ladies see the press conference?
Yeah,
I did. Yeah, I did. I was amazed at. Well, do you think, are you going to, your predecessor already announced that he was going to run again by this point. But you haven't announced yet. And when I heard that question, I was standing at the stove and I could hear it. And I'm thinking to myself, damn, can we get through 2021 first?
I know.
I mean, the man was, I'm like, he hasn't even finished his first 100 days. Trump had to announce because guess what? Trump had nothing else going for him. Trump was on a continuous election cycle. He had no intention of governing. Biden was elected to do a job. Biden wants to do the job. It's like, give the man a chance to do the job. He was like, well, of course. He's like, of course I'm going to run again, but I'm focused on this. Well, do you think you'll run against Trump? And he's like, I don't even know if there's going to be a Republican Party.
I know. And it's true.
And it is true. And it's like, I think that was an unfair question with all of the things going on in the country to focus on that narcissist for the media. I mean, I write the news. I'm so glad I don't have to write about Trump ever.
Right.
I'm glad I write Black media in Black news because to have that have to drive my everyday work schedule would just drive me nuts. Oh my gosh!
You wouldn't want to be covering the White House, correct? During 45.
I would.
Oh, I know you would.
Oh, covering the White House during no. Don't get me wrong. Covering the White House during 40
to be like, yes.
Covering the White House during 45, yeah. But I'm talking about now. It's like now
I would love to, just so I could get into it with the other ones, with the other press people, and tell them, sit your ass down.
Now it's like. Now it's just like every day.
That's all I'd like to be the girl sitting back. They go, sit your ass down.
I just want 5 minutes. You and Kaylee. I would have loved that. You and Kaylee.
Kaylee McEnany.
Yeah, I would have paid for that. I would have paid for that. So here, Nicole is
Kaylee McEnany come poop. You mean?
Jeez.
The reporter was baiting. Yes.
The reporter was baiting. Yep.
He was.
And Bertie Lynn saying they want you to be distracted. Interesting enough, I didn't watch a press conference, read reviews. What subject did the media not ask about during that press conference?
Coronavirus. COVID. They didn't ask about it because there's nothing interesting in the fact that Biden is getting it all under control. However, the challenge comes in that we're about to get to a point where things are escalating, but we're also getting to a point where you're going to have more states vaccinated, which is interesting. Like my state, by April 1st, they will have opened up to every age.
But they could have asked things like, how are you dealing with it getting from the rural communities into the metropolitan communities? There's, because in some of the red states, people are having difficulties. There are things that could have been asked, but they don't want to ask about that. It's on to the next thing, some other kind of sensational, salacious BS. And, it's quite revealing about all of those reporters, to be honest with you.
Here's Nicole saying, we need an interactive Dr. Vibe show. Well, hey, I've invited many people if you want to come on with the ladies. So where are you? We want you to, Nicole, like I can DM you right now. I would love you to come on the conversation in real time. You can hang with these ladies anytime. Yeah,
it's true.
We can look at that because I'd love people to come on. And again, I'm putting that offer out there. If you want to come on one of our conversations, my contact information you'll see at the end. Would love you to come on, or DM me via Twitter and say I'd like to come on. My Twitter handle is @drvibeshow.com. I'll send you a link. We'll get you in here. So Nicole says not now. Okay, no problem. She says I'm in the bed office.
Yeah,
so there
me
you
too.
go. So
I'm in the office still staring at some of my moving boxes. So
there you go. So then we should really now, as Joe predicted a while back, get ready for an extended run of all this in many states in the America now.
Mean, seriously, Dr. Vibe, getting Warnock in, and we just gotten off of the November elections, and then we had to pace that out into January. It's been a lot. And right now, I'm like, really? And we know Warnock is coming back up. And I'm none too happy about having to get back on the phones and have
Yeah,
to figure out what to do.
but the Republic. Mhm.
Only this time, I will physically be able, like many more of us, to be in Georgia when this goes down. So this is a very different thing.
Jill,
Most of
so
us having our shot.
let me ask you, Jill, you gonna go to Georgia?
I might have to, right? A bunch of us might have to.
Wow.
Yeah.
We might have to.
Folks, would you not love to see Staggers State of Things with Jill
Life in
Jones
Georgia.
in Georgia? Would
And
that be?
Aisha would go, we might have to do that
Yeah.
because
Whoo!
we've got to put this to bed once and for all. I'm
This,
tired of it. So if
this,
I'm
I'm
tired,
I'm
imagine.
up for Georgia. I'm up for going back to Georgia.
wow, that would be large. Would love
And
that.
look,
Because
and I've got political contacts down there.
yeah,
Oh,
me too. And down
boy.
in, down, we seriously, when we were in the heart of COVID, we pulled it together. Imagine what we can do when everybody's vaccinated.
You know what?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I something tells me if you two went to Georgia, why am I seeing a picture of you two with Stacey Abrams? Just something just coming in my mind that's going to be the first thing that's going to happen once you get off the plane. Just Stacey's going to be there, and you guys are going to have a love in, and I'll just say, okay, I knew them when. Like I knew them when. All right.
No, you never know. As long as we get people who want to really vote and get
Stacey
more
Abrams
of
might
our
have that first
people,
Jill Jones album.
like she's young enough, right? Um, and we just want to get people motivated because this is,
Yeah.
we have to support each other.
Yeah.
Midterms. A lot
We
of people
have
lose
to.
interest in the midterms, but let's move it on to our second conversation tonight. President Biden tasks Harris with stemming the migration on the southern border. I think this has got to be one of the most thankless jobs in America
It's a
right
tough one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. But I
now.
Yeah.
think that she's up to handling it because she has the grit and the determination to really follow through on it. Put it this way. Joe Biden tasked her with doing the job that Obama trusted him to do. And so that shows you how much faith he really has in her and how well he thinks that she'll do in doing the job and getting it in making sure that it will be done humanely. If Joe Biden is anything, he's very humane.
I've heard
And
people on the left and the right speaking about this in a negative fashion, both sides. The left, the extreme left, who want, who don't feel that in the press conference that Biden answered the question properly about what you do with the 9-year-old who's coming here. I think ABC reporter asked this question, like, well, a 9-year-old who was sent here and then you're going to like let them stay, and it just turned into this really where I feel like he may not have all of the answers on this, because from
But
what
I
I
don't
could
think they
gather,
do. I
but
don't think
I
they do.
do know that there was a issue of like they're trying to create a system that will determine, is there a family member at home, is how did this go down, what, and that's a lot of research, and I don't know how they're going to do that. It's a problem when there's 17,000 people coming daily. They can create pods as much as they want, but we also have an added new additive with Mexico deciding not to do anything about it. When Trump, at one point, I just think they must have been getting a kickback somewhere from something that, or that was the reason they were more helpful. And that is a very big indicator. We do know that not everybody can leave their country just because they don't like it and they're not making enough money. Because if that were the case, we'd have a lot of people leaving here to go live somewhere else just because, like, the hell with it. I'm Black in America, and it's a jacked up situation to be. And I want to go live in Paris. We don't all have that luxury. So I'm a little bit on the fence of like, get this together, because on one hand, the children are incredibly young, but they have been deporting 50% of them because they are going back and they're locating the parents. and they're sending them home. Trump and them just sent them with a one-way ticket or a bus ticket, and it didn't, who knew where they ended up? That was a big thing. This is not going to go away because we do have Honduras, uh, El Salvador, all these other countries that they keep coming in. And I told you guys once that I met somebody who'd been kicked out of the country like 5 times and always found a way to come in through Georgia on private planes. So I don't know why they're not looking into that, because they're not just all walking across the border. There are people that are paying a lot of money to come in on private planes, and they're paying off people who work at customs or who work there. I'm sure this is a task to clean the complete house of it is going to be very difficult. But it's just, they've got to get down to it. I don't know what to say. I feel bad for Kamala because, people got mad at her when she tried to enforce the truancy thing to go after the parents when their kids weren't going to school. I, for one, love that proposition. I was like, yeah, make sure your kids are behaving. What's wrong with that, being accountable for that? If you had a pit bull running around in the street and they're biting everybody, well, we can't put your kids down, but we certainly can make you responsible for the damages that your child does. I mean, up to a certain point, but nobody let her live that down, and it never got passed. And yeah, so now she's got to monitor all these kids. That the 9-year-old that the ABC woman was talking about, they did in fact locate the mother who put her child on a bus. She did, and sent him on his own because, he would have better opportunity here. But that's not the reasons for many of the people getting sanctuary. Mainly they're got to put that back. Like, why are you here? That has to be investigated, what your sanctuary is. That's it.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is that Kamala is definitely more diplomatic than other people that, well, if you talk about this past administration, then those people that were there. I think that she's not going to just work on dealing with the present issue of managing the numbers of people that are coming here, but really trying to get to the root of the why and working with the countries where they're coming from. Because unless we do something with the countries that they're coming from, we're going to still see the numbers regardless of who's in charge.
We did a lot to Central America. We did a lot to Nicaragua, El Salvador. And what many Americans are actually forgetting is that everything that we did, because some of the people moaning about it are actually forgetting with the Sandinistas, Cosa, all of that everything that happened. There is residuals that come along later that the countries pay the price of. And that was in the 80s, so here we are looking at the result of some of our interventions, our going in and starting businesses and oil companies and electric companies and all of that. And then what happens when they get abandoned? And then what did we do? Or they're indebted to us in such a way but not to us, to major corporations that get a lot of kickbacks. So it's more than, it's like somebody saying, you burnt my house down, so I decided to come and live with you. So, that's basically where we are. It's like, bitch, you burnt my house down. I had nowhere to go. And now I'm knocking on your door. And you have the nerve to act all indignant that I showed up with my bags and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
and
what
people
this
forget
is.
too that the gun manufacturers and the gun lobby had such a huge part in playing in the violence that's going on in South and Central America.
Exactly.
People
So the
forget about
chickens
that.
come back to roost when, I'm sorry, you guys are running drugs, and you're running people think that drug use stops at the border of Mexico and here. No, we have the demand for drugs is very high in America. It's the demand that created all of this. So when you get rid of all these mentally these drug addicts in America and get them some help and get them off the drugs, maybe people can go back in the world to living a nice life. People never really want to be accountable for what they're accountable for and how they contribute to the, depantsing of the world, and then being shocked when you see a big old wiener looking at you.
I don't feel good for Miss Harris on this one. I think it's a no win.
Here's the thing. It's a long-standing problem that's going to take more than 4 years. It's going to take more than 8 years because we spent more than 50 years creating it. Right. But I think, is she the right person to deal with the here and now of this emergency part of it? Yes, I think that she can handle it. I think what is unfair is that people are not giving her even the chance to try. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, they're saying she's going to screw it up before she's even started work on it. But he just named her day before yesterday.
You're right, but I think that people just like to be the contrary voice in the room because they get attention. We have such an attention-seeking populace. I mean, I was telling Aisha today, I am sick of mouthy-ass musicians and singers and dancers and everybody, blah, blah, look at me, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to say something really crazy, blah, 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 blah. Let me have a follow, let me have a bite, let me have a taste. It's so sick. I don't even respond to half of these. Nobody anymore. I'm like, next. I see it. When it doesn't make, I just want to, if you have something to say and you're like, wow, this is going to be like what you said, Dr. Vibe. I wouldn't want this job that Kamala, these are grown-up conversations that you have. I wouldn't want to have this job. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's got to be difficult. This is how adults, but these provocative, oh my God, I'm done with that. I went through a lot of that online hell last year. I don't want it anymore.
And here's the thing: they're making it political. They're making something that is more of a humanitarian situation political.
Yes, that's true.
Exactly, because you're talking about we're also dealing with climate change, different things that are happening, resources, people not having infrastructure. And this is on governments to actually deal with too. We used to have a United Nations that we could deal with, and UNESCO and different things to go, hey, wait a minute, you need to pull your weight. That's what you go to those meetings for, and that's what you're doing there. You don't no one is an island on this thing. You've got to go and say, hey, you need to fix this or whatever is going on. More people would rather have conspiracy theories and sit and talk about what they think is going on, as opposed to America went into a country, got all up in its business, left it hanging wide open. And now we're seeing the result of decades of gun sales, drug sales, everything that actually keeps making people, corporations, and people here richer. Yeah. There are people sitting at home who don't deal with the border, but they are directly getting their funds and their coins by doing something legitimately evil. And it's not always, doing something really shady. That's it.
So, I'm sorry, we are not, we've got to stop this. Oh, America's the greatest nation in the world. We have done some horrible, horrible things. Yeah. This country's done horrible things to its own people. Okay. Let alone other countries. So if this country did the genocide of Native Americans the way that it has, put Black people in bondage, and took Asian people in concentration camps, imagine what we've done in countries that Americans cannot see.
Well, it's called reparations. We have one state that's decided to do it. One town that has decided to be held accountable. And for me, I think that is so progressive and so adult, and really like looking at your history, and you're not proud of it, but you try to make amends. It's hopefully a step in the right direction, but we have a lot of amends to make.
Yeah.
And that not only as a country, but as a people to other people, just down the daily, just the stuff that we do.
So let's close it up on this. And I would like to have both of you, if you had a chance to be with Vice President Harris, what would you say solution wise needs to be done with the border, the American US border crisis? Because it's still a crisis. What would you tell her?
The first thing I would tell her would be, one, that all of the things that she knows what needs to be done. She does know all of the things. Like, for example, we have a shortage of judges in terms of getting the cases through. That's why those children are staying in detention longer than they have to. So she knows she has to do something on that front. I would tell her to do the things that you know need to be done, the very practical things first, because those are the things that you can get out the way. The bigger problems, start getting the right people in place to work on those and realize that they're going to take time.
Okay. Jill?
I really don't know what I would say to her because I do not envy the situation. I think that there's a tug at the heart on this, and then there's just the I'd have to really understand what the intention is. I mean, if the intention is to come and deal with it as a government versus as a human being or humanity, or with possibly both key elements, is important. But there's so much corruption in the world, and God only knows in another 50 years if people in America won't be like trekking places because and looking for some kindness somewhere. So I tend to not want to set up a situation that comes back and bites you in the behind when you need some help, or how you could do it. I mean, we might have to treat it like we have done in Afghanistan with some of the programs, or in Pakistan, where we had programs to help people. But it's really like the reason it's difficult for us at the time is A, financially, B, the pandemic, or vice versa. And also America can barely stand on its own legs at the moment. So it's all of these things are really incredibly, it's going to take a lot of people to try to, be that nation that people did look to for the solutions, because we can't even deal with a rogue state that's keeping Black people from voting. So at this point, it's like, it really is coming down to a lot of Sophie's choices being made, which is always very painful.
Okay.
I do have one other suggestion, though, because they talk about the crowding in the location that they're at. This fact that there's no space in the particular location that they're
Oh
at,
shit! Have they gone to a
which is
New York
mostly
City
Texas,
apartment building?
which is
People are
mostly
living in,
Texas. But no,
please.
but here's the solution: find a way to route everyone to Montana. Montana has a lot of space and very little population.
I think that if they reached out to some of the modern designers, sustainable designers that have come up with some of these
IKEA?
prefab, no, yeah, and they have prefab construction from like I've seen some in Denmark and Holland and different things, and you have these facilities. I mean, then they'd be saying some of them are quite nice, but even to reach and look into more environmental sustainability solutions on how to house them, because if anything, the decor, the bunk beds, that's great. They did the best they can with it, but the main thing is someone who's really great with logistics and getting these kids back on their plane or getting them to a destination. That's key, but that's only the band-aid, because the main thing is locating the timing of the judges, we know that, and getting them home, or they can come or they're going to stay. It's very, very difficult. But for some of the housing things, I would say reach out to some of the prefabrication places that have done some amazing modern places. I'd live in them myself, and just figure it out. But you see, even that is better than living where they're living, these children. And you're dealing with people putting their kids and sending them alone. They're obviously entrusting them to somebody. We also have had people coming from China here. That's another one that we're not dealing with, and different Asian countries. And then they have to spend how many years to pay them off for them bringing each family member over at a time. So it's not anything new, but definitely the Republicans are going to make us feel like this is, an outrage. This is the first thing they've ever seen.
All right, let's move further. Dr. Deborah Birx shares a chilling conclusion as America arrives at a moment of introspection on the coronavirus. Now, we're broadcasting live on March 27th. Apparently, tomorrow night, March 28th on CNN, Dr. Sanjay Gupta is going to be doing a documentary special about the coronavirus effect or impact on in America. And he does sit down with Deborah Birx, who was part of the White House staff, who was in 45's administration. And one of the things she did say, and I saw it in an article, she said, if the former administration was more proactive, she feels 100,000 deaths could have been prevented.
Now we've been new. My cousin had been saying to me that Dr. Birx always looked like an abused woman up there, standing beside all of them. She always looked like they just smacked her the hell up before she came on stage, and was standing there with the scarves and rolling her eyes. And I was expecting her to do that thing one day, like help. That's the international help sign. If you ever are in some situation, you do that to let people know you need help. Anyway, Dr. Birx, I don't know why they're going to just carry this on and keep talking about it. I will watch it because I hope she has something to pass on. But now she's burnt because she doesn't have a job and she was forced into retirement. So this is where we are with Dr. Birx. And I don't know how I feel about that personally.
She feels a lot of guilt. That's what her issue is.
Probably.
Her whole thing right now is guilt. There are more than 500,000 dead people. They knew people were going to die, and their premise was this number of people were going to die if there was not going to be intervention. Well, she sat there under this man who refused to do the intervention, who wouldn't even so much as wear a mask as an example to the ignorant people who supported him, because, monkey see, monkey do, would not wear a mask. And she sat there next to his non-mask wearing, COVID spreading self and said nothing.
But Aisha, I just don't understand. I must be a very different kind of person, because if I'm standing there under such a situation as serious as this thing is, I honestly I think I would have been like, what the hell what the is going on with you? Mm-hmm. This is not true, people. Snap the hell up. This man's crazy. Yeah. I don't know. I honestly don't know how they went with the okie doke. And now I'm supposed to take time out of my day to hear you tell me what I already thought was going on anyway. Now you want to spill the tea? Yep. I don't know. It's a little bit like getting a box of instant tea as opposed to the leaves. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, girlfriend, those 100,000 people, because you sat there thinking what? You're going to change Donald Trump? You sat there too and you collected a paycheck. You didn't even think to just jump out Johnny out the box and like smack him up across the side of the head or something.
It's like, this is on YouTube. Yeah, no, but it's like, this is on YouTube with her. It's like, no, you don't get to claim plausible deniability. She's sitting there like, if he
and
didn't
now she wants to rub more salt in the wound of the people, of 100,000 people who died. We have a country that won't even prosecute people who storm the Capitol. You think they give a damn about 100,000 people?
Exactly. Look,
but the people who lost these people will have to keep hearing about it over and over and over again. There's not even, honestly, Dr. Birx, go retire and deal with your guilt.
Well,
Just deal with it.
Black Beauty is saying she stood right there like an abused woman when he suggested we use bleach.
Exactly. I mean, that was the time to speak up and say,
that was the real time to speak up. She just sat there and just,
because we legitimately had somebody who drank, a few people who drank it and died. And you know, there is a reason that on the box of nails it says, please do not swallow. For some magical, crazy reason in America, you have to tell people not to swallow nails or marbles or stick them up your nose
but
or stuff like that.
Out before he even got to the bleach part. The moment he said, shine a light inside the body, how do you put a light inside the body? There are only two ways that you're going in that are non-surgical.
I'm sure a few people tried that one too. Put a flashlight right up there.
Oh,
or a light bulb.
So do you feel bad for her at all?
No.
She can go to hell as far as I'm concerned.
No. She took more time to tie those scarves around her neck than she did to give a damn about telling the truth. And, you know, doing that kabuki eye rolls like, you know, I don't like to have to assume or make assumptions about what someone's thinking, because I'm always going to think, oh my God, she wants to tell us something. No, the fact that she didn't tell us something then says a lot more about her. Nobody, you know.
You know how many reputable people threw away their careers behind Trump's ass?
Yes, many jumped out. And it wasn't easy.
She's one of them.
But she was on the inside. She couldn't figure out how to set him up. She couldn't figure out how to make him look like a jackass even more than he already did. She couldn't go and report it to a newspaper or even, no, she never did. There's nothing that tracks her back. She couldn't even
be anonymous like Miles Taylor. That's the part that gets me.
No, she walked in there every day with her little Ferragamo shoes on and didn't have a problem.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, ladies, we have reached one of the all the shows, all the conversations are good, but you get primed for this part of the show for some strange reason. So tonight's episode's cockroach. Republican Senator Ted Cruz is being mocked for his documentary-style trip to the U.S.-Mexico border. Why are you picking on Ted?
Oh my God! First of all, it was cringeworthy, but it was hysterical because they're out there, him and little Lindsay and whoever.
Little Lindsay, he's like your little son now. He's your son.
Little Lindsay and whoever else they have with them on this boat, right? They're like in the middle of this river. Like I swear to God, I told Jill, I'm like, they look like they were
slave
slave hunters, right? That's what they look like. And they're in the water, it's dark, and all these security people that they have these AR-15 rifles and everything, and they're talking about how they saw these drug cartels were attacked by these drug cartels. And Beto O'Rourke had the best comeback ever.
I love him.
Because Beto told him, like, you know, instead of doing cosplay, you know, cosplay senator stuff, you know, you can do real senator stuff. And here's a list of the things that you could be doing right now.
If you look at this footage and then go look at that James Woods movie, El Salvador, it was a Oliver Stone movie. It's filmed, the documentary has the same kind of vibe. The same, because these people, you know, and James Wood is a nut job, like
he's one of them.
Trump supporter. He's one of them. And it just talk about being out of their element. These people are, you know, I can't even believe they represent people in this nation. They're buffoons. They are buffoons.
You know what's so funny about
tucked in his pants, and he looks like, you know, a piñata. You know, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, he should just be at a child party and everybody can like bang him open. I don't know.
But you know what's so funny about Ted Cruz is that Ted Cruz is talking about how Mexico is so bad.
It's all air.
Look, he's talking about how Mexico is so bad, but where's the first place he ran to when Texas had their massive snowstorm?
No, the best thing was seeing his little girl pull away from him when he tried to give her a kiss the other day. I actually thought that was a little. No, I actually got a little bit like, oh, that's really, there's something ain't right there either. That was something wrong.
Her under the bus.
Yeah, under the bus, but I don't think he's a happy camper to live with. There's something really, it was kind of scary, actually. She pulled away and then she pulled back. Like, it was just odd. It was an odd thing. And little girls, we've all been little girls. We tend to know that. It was actually, everybody's like Biden touching everybody, but this was this girl's dad. And I think he's a screamer and a yeller. And I get a very strong impression that he terrorizes their household.
Well, he terrorizes
my
the
psychic
Senate.
abilities.
Look, he terrorizes the Senate. We see what he does there.
Well, he's got an incredibly big ego, but he is a cockroach, and
there's not enough spray in America.
There's no, exactly. And Lindsay is, a cockroach turd. I didn't even know. He's so he's just the worst. He's just the slime.
If you're gonna pick a wingman of all wingmen, Lindsey Graham.
I mean,
come on now.
Okay, Ted. And why didn't they just give him his African queen hair, his hat with a little net over it? I mean, she was having a hard time out there.
That was so wrong. That was so wrong. Jill, you've gone to a new depth with that one.
That's all I see with Miss Lindsay.
She was like she was missing her little fan, and
I know
because she caught the vapors.
Had the vapors. Oh my God, I was about to say that. I was about to say the vapors. Oh, getting the vapors. I swear to God, I was about to say that. Yeah.
Should I pull out my white flag right now or something like?
But these people, Dr. Vibe, it's a joke, and it's so embarrassing just to see them doing this. It was absolute insanity. And now they're going through like hoops to create production on this. Going up the boat.
They had a director and everything because they had a boom mic and
That's what I'm telling you. There was a section in El Salvador.
Money.
El Salvador in the movie had a section that had to look like it was kind of a documentary. I'm telling you, they bid it from there. Reminiscent.
Black Beauty, LMAO, Jill, Aisha. Taxpayers' money for this documentary.
Awful. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yep.
Oh yeah. They ain't spending their money.
Nope.
Wow.
And guess what? They're not spending the red state money either because they barely pay.
I know.
Oh my.
One
more thing. Guess who was in my state, in my hometown this week?
Who?
Vice President Harris.
Oh, right. She did. Yes, she did. Okay. She certainly has been getting around.
Yep, and she had some real pizza.
She's been doing the miles. She's
been really working more than like we can say Pence.
Okay, and you know what? You're reading my alleged mind because they're going, what's happened to him?
Oh God, I don't know. Maybe he's still hiding.
Him and Mother are quite happy at home, not doing anything. He gets his one glass of warm milk at night before bed because that's about as wild as it gets for him on a Saturday night.
Sour. He's sour like that milk.
Let me ask you a very interesting question though. If he was totally open, wouldn't you love to have an interview with him? If he was really open. I would really love. No one's asked him, media-wise, what was going through your mind that day of the insurrection. I would love, and I would love to.
I would like to ask you, do you think they would have lynched you?
Yeah, I would have liked that.
I actually don't think he thought they were going to. I really. I think if the media was really doing their job, that's the person you need to interview. True, but he won't do it. He's too scared.
Publicly, I don't think he'll say anything. I think he's a coward.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I'm going, Wow, like what is going through? I'd love to be a fly on the wall just in his mind over the.
You mean a fly in his hair?
Okay, conversation's over. Thank you, ladies. As usual, we'd like to thank Jill and Aisha for being troublesome as they always are, but always factual and to the point. As always, we like to say thank you for taking thank us for them having us here. One who got up and one who's going to go to bed. And so Jill, as always, if people want to get in touch with you, how can they do that?
Twitter, Jill D. Jones. It's the easiest one. Oh, and by the way, my daughter has a new song out. Her name is Azucena, Azusena. The song is called Ticking Clocks. Go check it out. I think you'll love it. It definitely relates to, she's definitely been around me. You can tell that by her song.
Okay. All right. Next up, Aisha K. Staggers.
You can reach me at Aisha Staggers on Twitter. That's where I'll be tonight, probably. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Ooh,
not listening.
Nice.
If not listening to R&B.
Sultry voice.
Okay. Well, it's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Podcast News Award winner and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, once a month, I host the only online conversation hosted for fathers and men that is sponsored by Dove Men Care. It's also co-sponsored by Dad Central Canada's National Fatherhood Organization. Also once a month, I'm also the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative. It's a multimedia non-profit, that showcases Blacks in the diaspora in food, wine, and travel. And just like to thank everyone who came out, like getting some nice comments here. T. Stevens saying excellent show. Jen Myers, haven't seen your name before, but thank you so much. And please come back. Please come back. Also, some of the regs, Black Beauty, Birdie Lynn, Nicole. And again, I'm going to put it out there, folks. And also Leroy McKenzie. New one. I've known him for a long time digitally. Thanks for him to come on a little bit earlier on with his comments. Again, if anyone would like to come on and hang out with these ladies and myself, please. I'm going to put my Twitter handle up here right now if I can find it. Probably can, but I'll give you my email address. There's my email address, dr.vibe at thedrvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to reach out to me on Instagram, it's at the drvibeshow and Twitter at drvibeshow. As always, I like to close off my epic conversations with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Also remember to give yourself grace and love, faith, and respect. Look forward to seeing you next Saturday. We're going to be in April, 9 p.m. Eastern time, unless something else changes, but follow us on social media for any sort of updates on that. God bless, peace well, keep the faith, and walk good.